Okay, kids, come on in. Come on in. Let's talk a little bit. You want to get savvy about what's really going on out there? You come to the right place. I've been sort of watching this system going on for a lot of years. And by that I mean the external system of the world we live in, but not just the world today. The world that has come down to us incrementally for thousands of years. Yeah, yeah. It's important to learn to recognize the elements that we live in, isn't it? Get savvy. In fact, that's the name of my endeavor for creating structured advancement and versatility in you. It's called Savvy, Savvy Groups, but that's for later. But right now, I want to talk about something that's a little bit mm, deeper. It's kind of under the wire, but I want to bring it. I want to bring it out. I think I used a caption on the thumbnail for this video that says like we're all hypnotized or something like that. And you're looking at when do you think I went down for the count? A bunch of years ago, I was trained, in a seminary and then finally, and in Wall Street, they trained me. And I got trained in the Army and the military, they trained me. And what is this training? Well, as a young man goes into life looking at beautiful women saying, oh, gee, one day maybe I'll find a beautiful partner, a beautiful mate, and then live happily ever after. Okay, are we being trained or what? There's some natural things that are taking place, and we're going to talk about them right here and now. Okay? Yeah, 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 yeah. You guys are so good. Anybody that comes back to my site, to my page, trust me, you're not part of the common group of people. You really are. You're like people that wanted to go into the Himalayas to try to come up with some information. And I hope that I'll be able to do some small thing to provide information that will help liberate people and make you a little bit smarter, a little bit sharper about what some of the things that are really going on out there, not only out there, but also in here. So I'm going to bring you that this morning in my message in hopes that we will develop a greater sense of personal sovereignty. And in this way, we won't be as unwitting victims in the world that we live in. Okay, you ready to get going with this? Okay, here we go. Now, as always, I work from my notes. I don't shoot from the hip. I do research, I do study. I put a lot of thought into my videos because I want to deliver something that I feel will be socially redeeming and have a kind of universal value that'll stick around for a while, long after I'm gone. And so, Jesse and David, my sons, if you happen to be watching, may this one be a blessing for you and all my friends and family who may come and visit with this. I think this is going to be one of the keynotes of some of the stuff I've been working on. So hang with me. uh, I hope that it'll be clear, grounded, and sovereign focused. All right, here we go. And I will entitle this, or let's say the core insight here is that humans are state based creatures. And when I say state based, that's kind of tongue in cheek. It's state, like state of mind. But notice how that term state is used on a political level. And that's all I'm going to say here. Okay. Yeah. Now let me introduce a what would be considered the most powerful trance of all, the beautiful woman. There's a kind of trance that nobody warns you about, not the kind you see on stage, not the kind you read about in hypnotism books, not even the kind used by institutions or political movements. I'm talking about the trance that happens in the human heart, especially men, when a certain kind of beauty walks into the room. You know the one I'm talking about, right? The woman who seems to have stepped out of a dream, it's like the one who lights up every fantasy you ever had. The one who makes you forget your center, your purpose, your sovereignty. Now, this isn't about her, but this is about the state that she evokes in you. All right, so we're going to go through a few parts and pieces here now that I've sprung into that. There is the human trance response I'd like to talk about. Why am I laughing? Well, I think sometimes when you feel liberated, you come, it's better to come from a jovial place rather than a somber. I used to be very, man, I epitomized glum. And there's one video that I have, it isn't up yet, but it will be soon. It's from glum to glam. Listen, human beings are state based creatures. We don't act from logic, we act from the state we're in. We think we act from logic. Shift the state and you shift the perception. Shift the perception and you shift the behavior. Every hypnotist knows this. Every advertiser knows this, and every priest, every general, every political strategist knows this, even if they don't have the language for it. The mechanism is simple: narrow the attention, heighten the emotions, and the critical mind, the left brain, it goes quiet. Ah, that's where the power is, right? So, how did institutions learn to shape this state in the masses? Well, you see it in religion. You have stained glass, huge, spiring, cathedrals, right? Magnificent art all around. The incense, the chanting, the architecture, man, you know, it lifts your eyes upward. And then your thinking begins to soften, right? You're in a holy place, even a place that God Himself dwells. That's underneath. Wow. I remember that feeling for many years. I was a choir boy sitting up in a loft with 40 or 50 other boys. Oh man, the impact that had on me as a child. You see it in the military, the shaved heads. That's what they did to me as soon as I went in. Zoom, gone. The cadence, the exhaustion, the training, the emotional intensity that rewires your instincts. You see it in politics. The slogans, the music, the lighting, the repetition. You see it in entertainment. The darkened theater, the swelling soundtrack, the total immersion. None of this is accidental. It's not sinister. It's simply human psychology applied at scale. And then the beauty trigger. Oh man, there's the most ancient state shifter of all, the encounter with beauty. Not because she's doing anything wrong and not because she's manipulating anyone, but because the male nervous system has been responding to that signal for hundreds of thousands of years. It's biology, it's imagination, it's projection a little bit, huh? It's longing. It's the ancient scripts of desire and approval. The power isn't in her. The power is in the story he tells himself when he sees her. Back at the turn of the millennium, I laid out all kinds of bucks to go to St. Petersburg to meet such a beauty in Russia. Didn't work, good thing. So what are we doing here? Essentially, we're outsourcing our sovereignty. Now let's get it back. See, when a man enters a state, he often forgets himself. He outsources his center. He projects qualities that she may not possess. Okay? He trades sovereignty for approval. He confuses fantasy with connection. This is the same mechanism as hypnosis, just delivered through a different channel. And again, it's not about her. It's about the state that he hasn't learned to stay awake inside. We're gonna talk about that. How to stay awake inside the sovereign human. So, what does sovereignty really look like? It's not suppression. It is not cynicism. And it's, trust me, it's easy to go there, and I did for years. And it's not resistance. Viva la résistance! No, it's not about that at all. It's awareness. That's all. Doesn't it all go back to that? Sure does. It's the ability to feel without losing the center, to admire without collapsing, to desire without disappearing, and to connect without worshiping. And oh boy, is there a lot of that going on. It's the ability to notice the state you in before you act from it. So the real teaching here is that every institution in human history has learned how to shape state. Some do it for cohesion, some for meaning, some for survival, some for power. But the responsibility is always the same: to stay awake inside the experience. Because the moment that you can name the state you're in, you're no longer inside the trance. Yeah. You're standing at the center of your own life again. So let's move toward a closing of this little exegesis on trance and hypnotic shifting of state. This isn't a warning, it's an invitation. An invitation to become sovereign in a world full of suggestion, to recognize the architecture of influence, and to feel everything and outsource nothing. Yeah. And before I close, I just want to mention this. One more example, and perhaps the most important. And it's the one that sits at the center of my own understanding and perhaps Yeah. The basis for these videos and everything I'm doing, Christ. You see, the Pharisees said he was possessed by the devil, Beelzebub, they called him. Why? Because he outshined them at their own game. Because he reached the hearts of the people in a way that they never could. Because he carried the authority that didn't come from ritual or lineage or institutional power, but from presence. They saw the devotion he inspired. They saw the esteem people held him in and not them. And it made them furious. Because Christ did what every institution tries to do. He changed people's state. But instead of leading them into deeper bondage, he led them into sovereignty, into freedom, into the inner life, into the kingdom within. He awakened people, not to follow him blindly, oh yeah, or to turn him into some kind of idol, but to stand in their own truth, their own dignity, and their own direct connection to the divine. And that is the heart of this entire message. To recognize the forces that shape your state, to stay awake inside them, and to feel everything and outsource nothing. Okay? Yeah, yeah. Remain in peace.